What's up, everybody? Here we are on Spill the Tea again. It's good to see you guys here for another episode. Um, I just wanted to do another follow-up to the third episode that I did. As you can tell by the title of this one, it's called The Pause. And I know that I haven't given much sub-context of this channel. So I know that there's a moment where most people never notice. It happens right before you start to react. Before your anger, before you start to shut down, and before the need to explain, defend, or kind of control anything. That moment is what I consider the pause. And if you grew up in chaos, you weren't taught how to live there. You were taught how to survive past it. For me, in my lifetime, that chaos started incredibly early. I had this unspoken thing that I learned how to read runes instead of emotions, and how to stay alert instead of at ease. I didn't learn calm from safety. I learned it through exhausting myself. And I had to relive that lesson again, when I learned it again in the military. I was 10 years in the military. I now have, knee problems, and as well as my PTSD. In uniform, that paused, it looked a little different, because we were trained to react, to move fast, to stay sharp, controlled, and also ready. So our training saves lives, but when that mission ends, the nervous system doesn't always get that message. And for a long time, I thought that strength meant reacting faster, thinking quicker, and staying 10 steps ahead so that nothing could hurt me again. But trauma that you deal with, it doesn't want power. It wants safety. It's your body's way of trying to stay safe. And safety doesn't live in dominance. It lives in regulation. That pause is where your nervous system asks a quiet question. Am I safe now? And most of the time, that question isn't answered with words. It's answered more with a sensation. A tightening in your chest, a heat behind the eyes, or a clench of your jaw. That's the body scanning the environment that's around you. That's looking for proof. Proof that this moment is different from the ones that came before it. If the answer is no, the body moves for you. Anger, control, withdrawal. Those aren't floors, those are protection strategies. And that's something that I'm still learning to undo. Just last week, me and my service dog, we were getting ready to go on a business trip, and I had just gotten back. I've just gotten back last night, and I was going to make this film while I was in West Virginia, but I decided to wait till I came home. But the day that I left, I had lost my wallet. And inside my wallet, obviously, is my debit card, my money, but also my corporate card. That's the one that pays for my hotels and stuff. And trying to be more alert of it and staying in that pause, I could feel my entire body, my nervous system going to where I wanted to lash out in anger, and I wanted to hurt things and break things. I wanted to, assert my dominance in that moment. Instead, what I chose to do is I instantly canceled my credit cards and everything. And so I had solved the problem, but, so my mind was okay, like I'd solved the problem, but my nervous system was still going. I was still on edge and everything. And so I had to take another pause, and in that pause, I had to tell myself, it's okay. The problem has been solved. Even if you don't find your wallet, all of your cards are canceled, you ordered new ones, like you're safe, everything's fine. And I actually had to say that to myself out loud. And when I did, my nervous system finally caught up with my mind, and I could feel that release of stress, that release of tension. And that nervous system that you develop, that's a protection strategy. And I'm not speaking from theory, I'm speaking from lived experiences, from growing up in survival, growing up in the foster care system, growing up in a very hostile, abusive uh, childhood, and which is why I was in the foster system. And also, I carried a lot of that, you know, even into adulthood with me. Also, the challenges and things that I faced in the military itself. And so now I'm trying to unlearn it piece by piece. And here's that shift that changed everything for me. My example of me losing the wallet, the strength isn't what I did after the trigger. It was what I did before my reaction started to take over. I've tried to train my mind to be more self-aware of when that reaction wanted to come, when I wanted to lash out anger and I wanted to start breaking things or hurting somebody, or that was my reaction and I knew it right then and there. So what did I do? I chose to, in that pause, cancel my credit cards and do the mature right thing. And that's where the true strength relies, is being able to catch yourself before your nervous system reacts to these things. And so it's the breath that you take instead of the words that you want to launch out into, life, into society, or into anything. It's the silence that you choose instead of the explanation you don't owe to people. It's staying present when every instinct says for you to escape. The pause isn't you're suppressing anything. It's not swallowing your truth or pretending you're okay when you're not. It's a choice. And that choice that I made that day that I lost my wallet just a couple of days ago, beginning of the week before I got back, it was also noticed. And this meant a lot because my girlfriend had noticed, and she had texted me and she had told me that how proud she is of me. She said, I knew how angry you were. I knew that you wanted to lash out. Even when we drove to Stop and Shop to see if my wallet was there, maybe it fallen out. And she was praying that no one better drive slow, no one better, brake check, no one better do anything, outside the norm, because she knew that like I was ready. I was ready to go. I wanted to go to war with the entire world right then and there. I just wanted to snap over something so simple. And so that choice that I made, it was that moment that I realized that I can respond to the situations without abandoning myself or attacking anyone else or attacking inanimate objects. It was that pause and that maturity level, that self-awareness level, that I made to do the choice instead of out of reaction. And that pause is not weakness. That's how you learn to start trying to master what's inside of you. And when you practice that pause enough times, like I have throughout my entire life, I am 36 years old and I have practiced this pause as far back as I can possibly remember. You know, and again, there are times I absolutely fail. I will be transparent that I absolutely fail with it. But when you start to practice that pause enough times, something unexpected does start to happen. You stop living in extremes. There are some situations where it doesn't trigger my PTSD as much as it should, or as much as it might for other people. And I stopped swinging between my armor and, collapsing, which is why in the previous video I tried to show you that you can put your armor to the side of you. You'll always live with it, but you can walk side by side with it. You don't always have to wear it. And you start trying and finding that balance that's inside of you, and you start living in balance. You don't lose your intensity. I've never lost my intensity. I just gain a choice of where my intensity goes. And that's where the real power lives. And if it resonated with you, it is because your nervous system already understands it, even if no one can ever articulate it or put it into words. Spill the Tea, my channel, it exists in order to slow things down, to name what survival taught us, and help chooses something healthier. Again, if you want to go deeper, my book, A Child Called Home, tells a longer story of my entire livelihood. And that's where I've noticed that the pattern started and how they get unlearned. In the next couple of weeks, the book will be out for purchase to the public, and I will put the link in the description below when it is available to the public. And if you're not ready for all of that, it's okay too. You can still stay here. This is still a safe place for everyone. Subscribe to Spill the Tea, and we'll keep walking through it together. Thank you guys. I'll see you soon.